On today's video, I am going to show you all how to calculate actual Scrum team capacity. The reason why I'm saying actual is I'm going to be using case studies from giving like different like people that's taking PTO, people that's taking like a day off, or also accounting for some holidays, so that we can see how we can go from having our team baseline capacity, which I showed you from my last video, and also taking out that buffer. And at the end, after taking vacation, PTO, and others, what can we have our actual team capacity for our sprint planning? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Aisha Scrum platform. I am very happy to have you all back. And for my current subscribers and my new subscribers, I truly appreciate you all taking your time and watch my video. And if you're interested in mentorship, do not hesitate to email me at admin@aishascrumtech.com. So let's get into the video. As I stopped from my last video, we came up and got our baseline capacity, right? And then we got our, after taking out our buffer, this was their availability in 72 story points. And today I plan to show you all about case study. How can we include like people's true day off and all of that? How can that reflect to get our true actual capacity? So let me show you all the case study so you all can know how I'm coming up with taking all of this off. And this case study just is for demo purposes, right? Because at work, the developers you're working with or your team members, they will tell you like the days they are off or the days they want to take PTO, which is vacation. I know like someone from the Europe was saying, Aisha, what is PTO? What is we don't use PTO here in Europe. I was like, PTO is paid time off in the US. And I'm sure for people in Europe is vacation. And in Africa, I think we say the same thing to vacation, right? So just to say that, so basically in that column, that's what I mean by the PTO is paid time off, in case people from abroad that's watching my channel is wondering. All right, so let me show the case study and we can come up with different scenarios on how we can get our actual capacity. Now, this is my case study. And the case study that I have here, because I'm doing demo, and I have for sprint 1, sprint 2, and sprint 3. I just want to show you all different ways how, based on holidays or people taking vacation or PTO, how that can affect your baseline capacity. And let's focus on for sprint 1. Let's say for sprint 1, I have 3 developers that are taking 2 days off for sprint 1. And we have Thanksgiving holiday, we're just assuming. And I have one QA that's taking 3 days vacation. So let's reflect all these different offs and day off and holiday into our capacity planner. Because sometimes I know for some people too at work, you might already have a calendar on Confluence where people always go in there, developers will go in there and put in their time off. And also maybe you have it on Teams, right? On Microsoft Teams, you also have your calendar in there. Each team member will just go in there and put in their time off. But that's one place they can put it. But it's also important for you as Scrum Master to also track on your own capacity planner just to ensure that you have the right numbers, right? So you are not planning for work where people are actually not available. So that's why I like to do this. All right, so now I have our case study. Let's now open our capacity planner. Saying that I have 3 developers that's taking 2 days off, right? According to the case study, I have 3 developers that are taking 2 days off, and we have a Thanksgiving holiday. So what I will actually do first before I even take out these developers 2 days holiday is to ensure first I take out Thanksgiving holidays for my onshore team, right? Because if you look at here, I have team members that are working from outside the United States with are offshore, and I have team members that are working in the United States which are onshore. So we all know for Thanksgiving, that's like a holiday practice in the United States. So then I'm going to go all to the column for all my team members that live in the United States. I'll give them each 1 day off for Thanksgiving. Then I go to the onshore. I'll go put 1 for a holiday. Now go to, this is the offshore person, meaning someone is outside the United States. So I'm going to leave that blank. And I'm going to onshore, another 1 holiday. And I come to onshore again for another holiday. A holiday for all my onshore team members. So then, now that I've taken out all of the holiday for my offshore team member, And now I have my offshore people that they'll be working because it's not their paid holiday. So for the most part, you're going to see them working. So now that I've taken the offshore holiday, now go to the 3 developers and I have 2 days off each. And let's say the developer that also have two days off each, one of them is the offshore holiday. And in work, this will be clear, right? Because this you will know this. Now just go to the offshore developers. I'll put two. 3 developer has two, so I'll put two. I'll put two holiday. And let's say it's the offshore team member that actually have this through holiday. And if it's the other team members that in your team that have the holiday, you can always just come there and add 1 + 2 is 3, and that'll become the 3. And now I've taken out the 3 developers that have the 2 days off. And now I've given the Thanksgiving holiday for my team members that live onshore, right? The United States people. And then it says I have one QA that's taking 3 days vacation. So one of my quality analysts is taking 3 days vacation. Maybe why? Because of the Thanksgiving, right? Because sometimes team members can take more holidays than the actual pay holiday. So for this particular QA that's taking 3 days vacation, so then I'll not take 3 days out of their calendar. So let's say this particular QA that's good, already give them 1 day for the Thanksgiving, and now I'm going to add another 3, so it becomes 4. So now they have 4. So for sprint 1, after taking out the holiday for the onshore team members holiday and taking out vacation for my QA, giving my 2 days off to my 3 developers, this is what I'm left of at our baseline for sprint 1. And now that I've taken out all of that, this is our baseline, I will now have to do the buffer, right? But let's say too, you work in a team, you don't get a lot of changes for the most part, like things remains the same and nothing changes, then to be honest, you should not make that change and do the buffer. But I like to do the buffer just for like in case of any unplanned work will come. And for that case, for this particular buffer, I'll just have to take out this one. And this was the last video when I showed you all how to get a buffer. And I'm going to change this math to this particular buffer for this team. So now instead of 80, it's going to be 64. 64 equals 0.1 times 64. So that's 6.4. So now I'm going to subtract 6.64 minus 6.4 equals 57.6. But we all know that after 5, the math rule, we have to round it, right? So I would say my capacity for this team, after taking out my 10% buffer, is going to be 58. Total capacity will be 58. And I like to mark it red. So, and I show how I get my math, because this is important, not just for me, but for in case of anyone that's asking me, oh, Aisha, how are you coming up with all of these numbers? How are you getting all of that? So now they can also look at the capacity planner, because this is actually public. Anyone in your team and anyone outside of the team can have access to this, which is nice, right? Because in Agile, we always promote to be transparent with how we're coming up with all this data. So after that, then I'll say for this team, after taking out everything, our available capacity for 50 is 58. Then during sprint planning, our role now is to ensure that our team commits to work that's going to be valuable to our end users and the business, where they won't be overworked. And when you're asked what is the maximum they can commit to in this sprint, it's going to be 58. So that's how you get one for this scenario. And let's say you also work in a company where they don't account for 80%, right? Because my baseline, I was marking all of this was 80% workload and 20% for meetings or other events that the team might have. And if your company has like 70% policy or 90% policy, you then always just change it here. Let me just delete all of this. your company actually they don't like this current baseline is based on 80% workload, right? Where the team each are given to work 80% workload in each sprint, you know. And let's say your own company, they are given to work at 70%. If it's at 70, all you do is just to change these tools to 3. You change the tools to 3. If they have them all working at 60%, you just change the 3s to 4. And it will just turn it at 6, so that's 60%. And if your company have everyone working at 90%, what you do is just to put it 1. And when you put 1, you see that will change to 9, which will be 90%. So just go by your company's rule and your company policy. I know sometimes this is beyond your team's control on how much percentage your team members can work on. They might say, oh, your team have 80% for workload and 20% for miscellaneous. And so they'll be, oh, 90%, sometimes 60 or 70. So now let's look at case study 2, right? Let me go back to the 80% workload. Let's look at case studies 2, what we have here. And if you notice, if I will put it back to the baseline, you're going to go back to our baseline availability. So looking at case, well, let's say assume that we are now in sprint 2, right? So now we're in sprint 2, and we are in a company whereby we have a tech lead. Our tech lead is actually supports not only your team, but they also support like the engineering department. What I mean by this is that your tech lead is such an experienced tech lead that for every interview that will happen in the company, or maybe every interview that will happen in a department, they have to participate, meaning that they have to take time away from their development work and basically go and support other people in a different department or support other people in your company. So in that case, that tech lead, you can have them at 80% in your team while they have other commitments outside, beyond your meetings and all. So we have to like allocate time away from their support work. And this next example I'm going to be showing you all in this case study, we're going to account for this tech lead that actually have multiple other support they do for different departments and also participate in a lot of interviews and stuff. So in this second sprint, which I'm giving an example in this case study, is that we have 2 developers taking 1 day off each. And we have both onshore and offshore holiday, Christmas holiday. So how can we show this case study in our graph? We go back to, I will always start by taking the holiday. For me, it makes it easy because then I know that in this case, we do not only have off for people in the United States, we also have off for people in Europe and all over. That's part of my team. So in this case, I'm going to take out 1 day off for everyone. And I just go directly to my Excel spreadsheet and I come in here and I put 1 for everyone that's having the Christmas day off, because the company usually is shut down and it's closed during that time. Now we just put 1 for everyone in the team. Put 1 all around. I put 1 for everyone in the team. So then that automatically shrink up our capacity. We went from 80 to now 70, because why we're taking off for that, because people will not be available to do work during that time. Going back to our case study, it stated that we have 2 developers taking 1 day off each. So 2 developers are taking 1 day off each. So then I go back to my developer. So let me just say I have this Java developer is taking 1 day off each. I'll just go back now. I'll go from 1 to 3. And the second developer I will say is here. I'll just give them 3. So that also drop us down, right? Because we're taking off all these people that won't be available to do work. And now for my tech lead that have a lot of support for outside team, also supporting other people, usually I'll do this one-to-one with the tech lead and they will tell me like how much time is taken away from their work in supporting these other different teams or supporting the department in doing interviews and all of that. And I'll give them to give me an estimate, right? Because if you think about it, there's no such thing as perfect number in Agile, right? We always like give you some rough estimates. So hopefully as we get our true velocity, we can at least come to a predictive state to say that, okay, this is what we can take at a team, you know? And So now let's say this particular tech lead basically set up 30% of their time helping other people. And I'll come under training and support and go to tech lead and I'll just put 3, which is 30% in this case. And automatically it shrink my tech lead requirements for this sprint to 4. Instead of the tech lead having like almost 7 story points to be doing, while they have too many other requirements. So then let's say too, like in another example is that you have the developers, they also have trainings, like they have like a mandatory trainings they have to attend, or they do like a lot of e-learnings, because sometimes we know that's required in company, right? If they're doing all these e-learnings too, I will ask them, okay, for how long that's going to take you? Is it going to be like all day worth of work or half a day worth of work? Or how is that? They might say, oh, this is going to be all week training. And for that all week training, and they'll be mandated to attend that, I'm also taking like all 4 days off or 3 days off or 2 days off based on for how long their training is. And all of that's going to go on that trainings or support. So that's why I love to have this column so that I know that when I'm taking these days off and I'm asked how am I coming up with these short numbers compared to if you have a history data of velocity, with the velocity saying that they have 70 velocity and you are committed to like 30, like, oh yeah, I'm doing this just because we have training all week long. That's the reason why I love to do capacity, because sometimes you look at velocity, it's never accurate, right? Because sometimes sometimes you look at velocity, you see it fluctuates, right? Based on vacation, holiday, and every other thing when it comes to velocity. But I like to keep capacity because it gives me like a true detail about what happened in each sprint. Because there's a story to every sprint, right? There's a story to every, like with the people that are working, people that are not working. Someone gets sick, right? Someone gets sick, and you also will come back here and take that 1 day off that they did not work. We'll continue can keep track. Basically, it's like a very good tracking record where you can keep here and know exactly what happened to your team and how your team were able to complete this much velocity in the end of the sprint, or how they were able to complete this less in the sprint. And also, it can also help you too when you're giving your reports with leadership, when you are asked, oh, what happened? How come your team have always have completed 70 story points, and this sprint, you've only completed 35? You're like, oh, let me go back to my capacity planner. Let me go see what happened for this sprint. And for sure, if you come here, you've always kept this up to date, you're going to see everything that happened. I'll give you more detailed story. Of course, too, you can type this too, right? In your own personal notes or OneNote if you keep it there. Then you're like, oh, actually, I had one developer that was out for a week. We had 1 week of trainings. We had the holiday. We also had our tech support that was giving a lot of support for this sprint. We didn't have him as full capacity. And also, we had like a lot of training. So all of this affected our velocity. We also had a team member that got sick and they were out for 3 days. So then you can explain in detail, like that you can show all of that in your planner in here, where all those things happen. So sometimes I see like Scrum Masters, they'll basically create a capacity planner and just keep it for themselves, That's not the right thing to do, right? It's very important that before you start your sprint planning, you should always show your capacity planner so your team can see how you're coming up with your data. And if anything happened in the sprint, right, you should continue to readjust it and adjust it. Although it won't change anything, right? You always write where you get started from. And of course, sometimes the scope change can show in your burn down chart. But the days that someone gets sick, they cannot continue with their work, or someone maybe they just left, something happened, or someone maybe even got fired. So all of that can reflect in your capacity, because as someone is leaving or taking a day off, you just come back and you take it off. So I just wanted to give very importance on that. And so now, and for the last example of the case study that I have for this capacity planner to help you all get your actual capacity for your team is for the last scenario, which is no one is taking off. We have only offshore holiday, which is very, very common. I even put Diwali holiday, because this is huge for my developers I'm working that lived in India. This is like very nice celebration for them. And in that day, sometimes for us in the United States, we'll be working, right? But my offshore people will not be on. And in that case, I will just then go to my capacity planner, and I go to my offshore meaning people that are working outside the United States. I'll go there and I give them all 1 day each. Go 1 day and I have another offshore holiday. I put one and I put one. And let's say my tech lead is also going to say that they're going to continue support for the sprints. They are still like have to do a lot of support. And I always like to sync up with my tech lead one-to-one to know how much support so we can roughly estimate the tech support. Let's say this sprint, they're only going to be giving 20% of their time. They don't have as much interviews to do and stuff. And I'll put them at 2. And then this is now my actual capacity for this sprint, which is 75. And if we do the math and you go ahead and put 1.1 times 75, you get the number and you divide that 75 minus 7.5 and you get the actual capacity. So then when you go to sprint planning, you now give that actual capacity. And I hope all of this training for this capacity have been very helpful for you all. My goal for my next video is to show you all how to get a PI baseline capacity. I know like people have been asking me a lot to do like a whole capacity planner for like 5 sprints. That basically to count for the whole PI. And I'll come up with the baseline for the PI, and then I'll show you guys different ways how you can come up with your capacity. And also, what is the workload to take in each of those PI sprint planning. And if you missed my last videos on the capacity planning, I have like, just go back starting from capacity 1 and you go to capacity 2, and this is the capacity 3 I'm going to be uploading. Thank you all for taking your time and watch my video. I truly appreciate you all. And I hope to see you all again in my next video, where we're going to continue on from where we left off. And if you've been finding my content valuable, please like and subscribe to my channel. I truly appreciate that. And have your notification bell on in case I have any new videos so you can get along. And if you're interested in mentorship, do not hesitate to email me at admin@aishascrumtech.com. You can also call me at 484-767-1979. Thank you all for watching and see you all again next time.